You can support this show at patreon.com/ASA podcasting.
The wasteland is the host of apocalyptic myth as the sole survivor wanders out about to see the rest. Nuclear explosions sending out the gamma rays from deep within the core of frozen atomic waste. From deep within the core of frozen atomic waste.
Welcome to Fallout Feed. I haven't been on here in a long time.
Is that what we're doing?
We'll call it the Fallout Modtalk feed.
Yeah. The pre-roundtable Fallout for Skyrimaddictpodcast.
Yeah.
Actually, mishmash.
I don't even think the episodes I was on are available anymore.
Oh no,
I don't think they exist anymore after we had that issue on Talk Show. They are no longer in existence. So if you don't know, I'm Michael. I used to, once upon a time, I did host the show. I still host a Skyrim Addict, and I have Victor with me.
Hey, how's everybody?
And Ray.
Good evening.
And Todd.
Howdy do.
Welcome, Todd. Todd's a new member of the podcasting family.
Yes, if you listen to
and an honor.
If you listen to Skyrim Addict, he has definitely there was definitely some feedback back in the day. Actually, it wasn't even back in the day. It was probably a few months ago.
It's been a little while.
Yeah, well, everything's back in the day. Like if it's like a minute ago, it feels like back in the day.
Yeah.
And we have Michelle in the chat.
Hey, Michelle.
Hey, Michelle.
And we're gonna go over what Fallout 4 modding as we get ready for the bobblehead roundtable.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about like at least 3 or 4 different approaches to modding. So that's going to be pretty cool. I'm looking forward to hearing all the different possibilities here.
Excellent.
So
it will all be new to me. I have a confession. I have not played Fallout 4 in probably over a year.
Oh my.
So I will be getting back into it for the roundtable. But that's if I can ever cure my vampirism in Oblivion, which takes forever. So there's that problem.
So you're saying that you have to cure your Oblivion vampire character to port him over into Fallout 4? Is that what you're saying?
I would. That would be interesting. Yeah,
it'd be fun.
It'd be very powerful, but it's way more complicated than it was in Skyrim. Let's put it that way. But and you die way faster in the sun. But yes, I will be getting back into Fallout 4 for the bobblehead. I think I'm doing the one that's in the Corvega factory.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I don't know. That's like repair or something.
I believe it's repair. Yes.
Yeah, repair.
Yeah. I remembered the Corvega factory. I really loved going through there, so I was like, yeah, I'll do that one.
Yeah, I'm doing the explosives one. That's going to be a late game one. And I think if I remember from episode 88 that you guys just recorded, Ray, you're doing one fairly early, right? Agility, I think.
Right. Well, it's typically done later on because you've got to go through all those fairly high level Norwegian ghouls on the North Star.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
But I'm going to take a run at it level 1.
Wow.
I can't wait to see that.
It should be fun.
That should be interesting.
It'll be quick one way or the other.
One way or the other. I think that's why I took the Corvega one, because I was like, you can get in there at pretty reasonable level and get through it and not die too much from what I recall.
Yeah, no, and it's one of those, it's like Bleak Falls Barrow in Skyrim, it's like the sort of the iconic early game dungeon run in Fallout 4.
Yeah. Yes, I figured I can make it through there without too much of an issue.
Yeah. And I don't want to jump the gun or anything, but just so happens that the date that mine is supposed to come up, there might be something really interesting happening. I won't say what it is, but stay tuned.
Oh yes, yes.
We'll see. We'll see if it all works out. But yeah. So anyway,
and we were actually discussing Philly Podfest again.
Oh, sorry.
Oh no, I was just saying we were discussing Philly Podfest again.
I was just going to say, if you download the right mods, Michael, you could play a sneaky archer.
Oh, that's true. That's true. I did very little modding of Fallout 4 on the Xbox. I did some, not a lot, but I did very little. I forget what stuff I added. Not much, just stuff like I think like grass and things like that. There's the one where you could green it up. This was in the very, very beginning, so I'm sure it's much more to it now. But yeah.
Yeah. Well, as far as so episode 88 covered how the roundtable is going to do character build for the bobblehead run, and it was really cool. I listened to it most of it today actually, so I'd be fresh in my mind. I loved the way you guys built that, built the perks, as you're going along. So we're here to sort of talk to everybody about, if you want to do mods, what are the nicest mods to use? What are some cool simple mods to use? And if you've never modded before, where's the best place to start? So maybe we should start at like the easiest side of things, which is probably the Xbox/console. I don't have a lot of PS4 experience, but there's not a whole lot of modding you can do on the PS4 anyway. So that's sort of you get what you get. But I've done some Xbox modding, and so has Todd. So Todd, what are your like go-to Xbox mods?
Oh, obviously the unofficial patch to start with.
Mm-hmm.
I build mod lists based on characters.
Mm-hmm.
It just depends on what I'm going to play at the moment. But as far as like just stuff that's standard, I mean, there's the unofficial patch, and then there's just I like to use performance mods.
Okay.
There's one called dynamic interior fog removal, because the inside dungeon fog always gets on my nerves.
I feel the same way in Skyrim too. I used to use it.
Yeah. Optimized I think the modder's name was Nitra.
Mm-hmm.
She, I don't know. They actually have compiled them all now into one called Nitra's performance tweaks.
Oh,
but
cool.
there are things like optimized building textures, and it was like disable the god rays. And I don't know if anybody else has this problem, but I always have an issue in downtown Boston around Good Neighbor with like the game wanting to freeze, and like it just seems like the frame rate drops really bad.
Huh.
I've had that issue a lot in vanilla and in when I've modded it. And I was actually trying to find a fix for this not too long ago. I'm trying to find it on my mod list, because there's a mod that will actually fix that problem if anybody out there's had it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's a huge number of NPCs right there.
Yeah, I've
never
never
been
been able to
everybody
figure
in
out what
Good
caused it.
Neighbor. You've got on the overpass. You've got a bunch of raiders. You've got raiders at the what is that? There's Haymaker Mall or something like that.
Yeah. Then there's that bookstore across. There's like an abandoned bus that you have to climb over, and there's a bookstore and a bunch of dogs there. And right around the corner, there's a bunch of the big green guys. Those.
And then all the gunners at Mass Fusion. So.
Yeah, a lot of scripts and quests probably triggering there too.
I found it. It was a setup mods. Boston FPS, different versions for the different DLCs. Because I'm using the Automatron one, because it doesn't mess with. The modder was having issues with the Far Harbor version, or the all-in-one version, I think it was. And so I just did this just to fix downtown Boston. Because it was driving me up the wall one weekend. But yeah, the improvement mods really seem to like get my frame rate up really good. The game tends to run smooth. I think those are probably the more important ones, usually for me, night vision blur remover, because I love night vision, but I hate the blur. There's another one. If you use it. If you don't have the perk, there's really no sense in having a remover. Am I still here?
Yep,
you're there.
Oh, okay. I heard a noise or something. It sounded like. I do have certain ones that I leave on the list all the time, no matter what character I'm playing. Everyone's best friend, where you can have dog meat and a companion. Power.
I apologize.
Armor,
just to quickly, I dropped off for a second there, so for some reason I missed a bunch of stuff. I realized I was talking and then it went silent, and then I came back. So I apologize to everybody. I have no idea where everything went there. So I was asking about scrapping mods. So if you don't mind, just sort of recapping a little bit. Just so bring me up to date here.
Yeah, I was just mentioning some other stuff that I tend to keep on the list all the time.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Realistic ragdoll force, everyone's best friend dog meat plus a companion.
Oh, cool.
Power armor, quick enter and exit's another one I always keep on. Alert carry, which is just, it's a real simple thing that just lowers your weapon so you're not pointing it at everybody's face when you're just standing around. Yeah, I mean, it's just like I just tend to use like a lot of basic stuff. I don't do a lot of settlement stuff, at least with the character I'm using now. So I haven't fiddled around with a lot of the settlement mods or like even scrapping mods or anything like that. The character I play does no crafting. She's Brotherhood of Steel. She conquers settlements. She does, you know, she has nothing to do with the Minutemen, and so. Her mod list is really, really short. I did try out. I actually had to uninstall Tales of the Commonwealth 2 weeks ago. Come to find out, I was having a conflict with Tales from the Commonwealth and another mod called Key Nuker.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if you're familiar with that at all.
No.
But Key Nuker just takes all the, you know, the keys and the passwords and all that stuff that fills up your miscellaneous tab in your Pip-Boy, and it would knock them down to just a key ring selection.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, but you would think that like that and Tales from the Commonwealth, they're like two totally unrelated things, right? But there's a certain part of the map to the, I guess, west. Ray might know it. Belcher's Cave, I think, is added by the mod.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. And so I was trying to do that quest. I was trying to go to Belcher's Cave, and it would just freeze when you would get within like 90 yards of it or something. And I could not figure out for the life of me what was going on. Like I was trying everything. I never really connected these two mods in my head. This is when Google turns into your friend.
Yeah.
Because apparently that is a known issue. And Key Nuker, the person who created it, actually stopped updating it like a while back, I guess. They created a new mod called Def UI. And so Key Nuker was never updated, and for whatever reason it conflicts with Tales from the Commonwealth. Okay. And I just uninstalled both of them and moved on.
Well, you're lucky you survived that, because often uninstalling mods mid-game can destroy a game.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I was afraid of. I'm like, oh, please don't destroy this game, because I have like a week's worth of time invested in her. I'm just like, and I haven't even finished the main quest with her yet. So.
Oh no. Yeah, that's why I always tell people who want to start modding, one thing you need to accept is that you may have to cry bitter tears and just move on, you know. But that's the kind of thing that you know, on the PC side of modding, that patches and certain kinds of programs like Fallout 4 edit and stuff like that can help resolve. But clearly, if I did not know that Key Nuker was the precursor to Def UI. Def UI is very commonly used now, so
I haven't tried it because I'm primarily playing my Domino's her name right now. I'm not messing with her mod list anymore because like I was like I just installed Tales from the Commonwealth on a whim after like listening to the roundtable and stuff. And I was like, well, I'll check this out and I'm going to try it for a while. I'm just like, no, I want to finish her play out. I'm not installing or moving or doing anything else until I'm done with her.
Yeah, that's smart. That's a good approach.
Yeah, she's just been such a fun character. I don't want to mess her up anymore. Even though I have vanilla saves of her, so I could always go back and like replay through it. But it's so far along now. She's like level 48 over the weekend, and I'm just like, oh my god, please don't die.
Yeah, really. I was looking back over my my Nuka World character that I did play on Xbox, and aside from some of the stuff you mentioned, I used one that some people may or may not have seen on Xbox called More NPC Ammo, and it just gives NPCs a more realistic amount of ammo, but instead of either having unlimited ammo or whatever. But I found that it had some weird side effects. So you'd get a bunch of raiders who would actually run out of ammo and then start punching everything. Yeah, it was a little.
That sounds fun.
Yeah, well, it was nice because you could become a raiding conqueror. Just wait for all the raiders to run out of ammo and then go in and mow them down. But that doesn't seem very fair. So,
yeah.
So I don't know if I'd recommend that terribly, but it was interesting. I did. These are all available on PC too. The Sunshine Tidings overhaul and the Ten Pines Bluff overhaul, which are pretty extensive, sort of little quest-based overhauls for those two locations, and they're a lot of fun. Does anybody else use those?
I haven't tried those.
No, I haven't.
Yeah, they're pretty. They're pretty good.
I just started getting into some of the settlement mods, trying that out. I had forsaken settlements a long time ago.
Yeah. So I used that. I used Scrap Everything on the Xbox because I do like clean streets in Sanctuary. I don't like all that junk lying around. It just doesn't make sense.
You got to remember to save a lot when you're using that mod.
This is true. You are very correct because it makes everything collectible, doesn't it?
Yeah, one false move and
that's right. Yes,
the foundation of a building is gone.
Yep. Yeah, and if it's in the worst case, it'll create a hole in the game. I mean, a completely empty hole where you could just fall out of the game.
Oh wow, really?
Oh yeah,
wow.
At least the early versions did that on my PC. I one day I think I scrapped an entire house. The one that's right next to the couple's original home there where Codsworth is when you come out of the one right next to that. I scrapped the whole thing, including the foundation and everything. And then every time I walked by it, I'd get these flashes of blankness, and it was like fall. If I walked too close to it, I'd fall out of the game. It was So yeah, you're right. You have to be really careful with that mod. You got to watch your outlines, and move the cursor around just correctly.
Very deliberately.
Yep.
Michelle is saying that clean and simple is useful for settlements.
Clean and simple, I don't know. I know spring cleaning and Scrap Everything, but I haven't tried clean and simple. Right now, I don't dare go back over to the YouTube tab because that's what screwed me a few minutes ago. I was over there, and then I realized that I couldn't hear Hangouts anymore. So when I came out to the Hangouts tab, it was back. So I'm not going to be. I won't be watching the YouTube chat. Sorry, Michelle.
Sorry, I can keep an eye on it.
Yeah. So I was trying to, but. So what else have I got on Xbox? I turned it on when I got home today. Of course, it had to update. That took 20 minutes. But I took some pictures. I took some screenshots some of the mod. Yeah, the unofficial patch also that's continually updated. So absolutely, everybody should use that first mod, whether you're on Xbox or PC, doesn't matter. Grab the unofficial patch, and make sure it's at the top. You know, that's the thing. You know, load order is even on Xbox, which makes it very difficult to affect your load order. You know, pay attention to what the modders say on the descriptions, and put mods approximately where you, as much as you can, where they suggest you put them.
There's a thread actually on Bethesda Net that I found when I was digging around for my Key Nuker Tales from the Tales from the Commonwealth problem. There is actually a pinned thread on. I got to remember. I got to get my laptop back open here. Actually, I think I had it open somewhere else, didn't I? Yeah. They have it. It's on the Bethesda forums. It's called Updated Load Order FAQ and Assistance Thread.
Oh, cool.
And they keep it updated. I think it's pinned. I'll cut and paste it. I don't know where to put the link, but I could just send it to Michael. But I'm sorry. But it tells you where to put like master files, faction AI overhauls, new quests, land masses. It's got a list of 26 different kinds of mods and like a load order of how to put them.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. Excuse me. Skyrim, I found the same thing only on Reddit. I don't know if they actually have one on Bethesda yet.
Well, for Skyrim on Xbox, yeah, that's a great idea. I didn't realize those resources existed, because that's exactly what a program like Loot on the PC does. It has a master list file, but it does it automatically for you. It's not infallible, but it works really well. I did find a way to see the chat. I see Michelle has mentioned armor and weapons keywords.
Yes,
and yes, I think that's a really important mod to keep in any Xbox load order. Even if you don't use its resources, it's simple. It sits in the background and just keeps things ordered if you keep it updated when you're using other mods, weapon mods or Armorsmith Extended or any of those more complex mods. So yeah, that's a really good suggestion.
Can you install that on a current game?
I believe so. Yes.
I'm thinking I looked at it and I didn't install it for some reason.
I would read the description. It should tell you whether it's safe to install. And just for anybody's information, you know, if you're unsure about a mod that you see on Xbox, even if you don't use your PC for gaming, you can go to the Nexus, find the mod if it's available on PC, and read the description there, and it may give you a little bit more clarity on where to put it and how to use it on your Xbox, because an Xbox is basically a PC. I mean, it's just, so that's a good, a good suggestion for people. Bethesda.net is okay, but the Nexus is really the modding resource for information.
Oh yeah, and half the time you look at a description on the Xbox, it tells you to go to the Nexus page anyway, because they didn't have enough room to put everything on there.
That's exactly right. Actually, I think Bethesda's made it better, but originally, I think the first there was like some ridiculous 300 character limit or some completely ridiculous thing like that. I think they've made it better since then, because everybody screamed and yelled and complained. But yes, the early version, the modders could barely put up a description of what the mod did, much less how to use it. So, yeah. Whoa! Somebody's building a house back there.
Oh, that may have been me. I'm sorry. I was.
Michelle also mentioned settlement garage sale. or you can craft a cash register and put the items you want to sell, and you get caps a day or two later.
That's cool.
That's really neat. I haven't heard of that one.
That reminds me of another one that is on both PC and Xbox actually, no, I take that back. I don't know if it's on Xbox. It's called Northland Diggers. Does anybody use that?
I've got it loaded, but I
haven't heard you mention that before.
Yeah. I don't have any settlers, so.
Yeah. Northland Diggers adds all kinds of merchants and things like that that you can add to your settlements. Well, let's move up a little bit from.
It is on Xbox.
Is it? Cool. It's highly recommended.
There's 4 of them: Taffington, Grey Garden, Starlight, and another Grey Garden. Grey Garden version 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. That and I know Sim Settlements is on Xbox now, so I would highly recommend anybody try that as well. It's a very stable and well supported mod. But one of the things that I'm really interested in hearing about right now, Ray, is Vortex. So tell us about Vortex.
So Vortex is the latest mod manager by Nexus. Its main developer is Tannen, the guy that wrote Mod Organizer.
Yep.
The first version. I don't know how much of his code's in the second or not.
The version 2.0 is an extension. Yes, he was working on version 2 when he was stolen by the Nexus. Yes, so it's some of his code, but it's anyway.
Yeah, so it's kind of interesting. So he's I've been in the forums quite a bit trying to learn how to use it, and he's quite passionate about this project. He's you can tell he's put a lot into it. It is it's still an alpha, but so far it's been completely stable for me. It's worked super simply. It's designed to make modding as easy as possible. It's not a power user tool. If you want to be able to pick, certain files out of a mod to either, load or not load, it's really not designed for that. But you can control, who has priority over, who in your mod list. And, that translates to your plugins. So it loads mods just like the Nexus mod manager. It keeps 2 files on your machine. One is the 7 zips of all your mods, and then the other one is the mods unzipped. And then there is links from that file to your game folder. And so it's similar to the mod organizer in that it's, those are links in there. They're not actual, not actual files.
So it's using virtual directories like mod organizer does.
Yeah. Only they're he calls them hard links.
Okay.
Which best I can tell, it looks like they act like symlinks in Linux, where you can, any changes you make to the original file get automatically linked to the other file.
Okay.
And so you have the option to, you can uninstall a mod to where it takes it out of the mod folder, but it keeps it in the 7-zip folder. Or you can choose to take it out of the archive, and then at that point it's gone, completely. And so far I hadn't had any problems. I loaded it up with I think I had 88 mods running on SSE, and there were a couple of conflicts came up, and there's once I figured out how the flow went on the conflicts solution, it went super simple.
So the conflict solution is that sorry for stepping back, but is that a is it a visually obvious from using little icons like Mod Organizer did, or how does
you get the little lightning bolt that indicates there's an issue. It's red.
Okay.
And then you are prompted to choose which file loads before the other, and then once you make that selection, then the lightning bolts turn green and you're good to go. There's also a method where you can drag a link between two mods that aren't showing any conflict, and create a control for that to say this file loads before this file.
Oh, cool. So there's that's sort of like what Loot does as well. So so are you saying that Vortex has a load order manager built into it like Loot?
Yes, and from what I can tell from the forums, it is actually a form of Loot.
Yeah, well, the old Mod Organizer had a sort of a Loot light, which was originally called Boss or something like that before it was Loot, but it was never considered as good as using the main version, because the master list wasn't updated dynamically like the main version is. I mean, when you run Loot, it checks the master list before it checks your load order, and if it needs to download a new master list, it downloads it, and so on and so forth. The Mod Organizer version didn't do that. You'd have to update Mod Organizer for that master list to be updated. So can you still run external applications from inside Vortex?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I've got it set up so I can do the test 5 edit and Loot.
Okay.
And I've also got SKSE set up. So there's a little spot on the dashboard where it senses which add-ons you've got in your launcher file, and you select which one you want as the primary,
right? And
it'll load from that every time.
So that's sort of like the old Mod Organizer drop-down list where you could
select that up. Cool. It's kind of interesting. So the plugin has an auto sort, and if you're on the mods tab and you load a new mod and you enable it, you can see a little circle spin around the plugins, and it's gone in, taken that plugin and put it into order.
Really?
So it's super simple, easy to use, and I think it'll be once they get it into beta, it'll be a great tool for a lot of people to get into modding, because it is very it's very modern in its drag and drop, and things pop up. You get notifications every time you download a mod, and if you have a conflict, it gives you a notification.
Does it have an easy, because when I use Mod Organizer, I have a workaround for myself, because with several different mod managers and all, I don't use the automatic download links. I always use the manual download links. So when I can you do that with Vortex easily enough?
Yeah, so there's the little icon you can click on to to load manually from, and like if it's in your download file, you can click on it and it'll move it over to your archive. And then if you enable it, it'll move it to your mods folder. You can also, I had a huge file of 7-zips of all, these mods that I already had downloaded. So I was able to just highlight all those in a regular Windows manager. And there's a little space at the bottom of the mods page, and I just dragged that whole pile over and dropped it in, and they just start chugga loading up.
Yeah, that's sort of, I mean, I that's what I've done. Well, sort of to move up another tier of the complexity ladder here, with Mod Organizer 2.1, which is actually 2.1.1, which is the latest, now finally pretty stable version that will handle 64-bit, and so that you can use it with Skyrim SE and with Fallout 4 relatively safely. That's exactly what I did with that as well. I took all of my 7-zip mod files out of Nexus Mod Manager's save directory and just dragged them right into the downloads folder of Mod Organizer, and they just appear in the downloads window. However, it's not as slick as Vortex, clearly, because in the old Mod Organizer version, you have to then go ahead and go through every single one of them and query info and have them go look at the Nexus and pick up the Nexus information for.
Yeah. Now you still have to do that in Vortex, because
okay,
at least at this point, because when I loaded them all in, it has all the info there, but it doesn't, it doesn't give you, any of the categories or anything. You can click on, the info tab, and it brings up a little window for that mod. And, all the basic info's there, but it's still, it doesn't give you the version number, or the mod description.
So yeah, it has to go fetch that for you, or you have to make it go fetch it. Yeah. All right. Yeah, and that I'm sure that's working better now in Vortex than it did in Mod Organizer. Sometimes it gets confused, and you have to enter it manually and stuff like that. So I mean, I kind of like the look of it. It's obviously designed by the same UI designer who designed the new Nexus interface, the web interface.
Right.
It has that same look to it. It's that modern web look, with simple colors and blocky design.
Big buttons.
Yeah, big buttons. Yep. I've been kind of shying away from it. Michel's been mentioning the Gopher videos, and I've watched so far. I think he's made 3 of them, and they're pretty basic, and he's certainly one of the best tutorial makers out there. So I would suggest anybody who's interested in Vortex go watch those. I think he has his latest. I keep track of some of his streams, and he's doing something else, but he has another episode of the Vortex tutorial ready to go that should be available within the next day or two.
Yeah, he had one that just recently dropped. And, he talks about how, that, Mod Organizer is still, the power user's tool of choice, because Absolutely. It does have, a lot more fine control. And, I think he equates it to, type A personality.
I don't know. It's certainly. I remember when I first started using it, it seemed like a really steep learning curve, but it becomes intuitive very quickly. But the biggest problem moving into the 64-bit world with SE, with Skyrim SE, and with Fallout 4 was the way they handle the Bethesda archives, and that's why the Mod Organizer 2 had so much trouble. And I think Vortex, because Tannin's involved there, etc., is a much better manager for that. Because in the 64-bit versions, as I understand it anyway, the mod organizers cannot handle those BSAs, which is the Bethesda. That's their archive version. Basically, it's like a zip file, but it's for Bethesda files. And the way the old mod organizer, you could actually let mod organizer handle the archives for you. And I don't want to get too confusing here, but the way mod organizer works, you actually have control over two kinds of load order. Whereas simpler mod managers like Nexus Mod Manager and seemingly Vortex, and I want to ask you about this a little bit in a second. Anybody who's used Nexus Mod Manager knows that when you load some kinds of mods, you will get this little dialog window that says overwrite, and then it gives you all these very confusing choices, like yes to mod, yes to all, yes, no to mod, no to all, and you really don't know what to do unless you've read up on it. And those are there because of how these archives overwrite each other and how Bethesda sets up the game. And this works for Xbox, it works for Vortex, it works for PCs, it works for anything. Always the last mod loaded wins. And that's why load order is so important. So all that to say that, Vortex has the potential, if they add power user features to it, to become truly the mod manager of choice for everything. That's what I sort of wanted to ask you about. Is it how similar is it sort of behind the curtain? Have you sort of gone in there and looked at how it handles mods, where it puts them in the actual directories, the actual game directories and stuff?
So I haven't looked to see how they move them around.
Okay.
And on Nexus Mod Manager, I have, pretty much any time I would load a mod, I would get that conflict box.
Right.
But with Vortex, I only got it one time.
Oh, okay.
And it was, I don't remember. It was one where it was like, I don't know if it was this one for sure, but Better Settlers. And then I also loaded Better Settlers, no lollygagging.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, there'd be a dialog box that came up, but it only happened on one. But it was definitely a mod where I had, it was two of the same mod, just a tweak to the original.
Okay, so you want the tweak to load last because it's going to overwrite the thing it's tweaking. That's
right.
That's yeah. That's.
But then also, I've noticed that a lot more mod makers are producing a BSA version and a non-BSA version of their mods in many cases. Right,
and that's because that is for, well, I think that's principally for people who still use older mod managers like Mod Organizer. What? No, well, is that true in Fallout 4 as well?
Yeah.
Oh. Okay.
Well, it all blurs together.
Yeah.
It was either Fallout 4 or Skyrim Special Edition, because those are the only two that I've really put a lot of time into modding in the last month.
Right. It might be more the case in Skyrim Special Edition, because I think Fallout 4 uses actually a different file format. It's not a BSA. It's something else. But yeah. So when All right. So again, moving up the complexity ladder, and just for people who sort of understand some of this and have maybe tried Mod Organizer or sort of know how it looks, it has a left pane and a right pane, and the left pane is all your mods. The right pane is your plugins, which are the .esp files. Those are the things that have scripts and other things attached. And the left side is everything, including just simple textures. And if you are managing your BSAs, and this is where we're going with this, depending on how you manage them, the left pane will either load in the order that your plugins load, which is affected if you use loot. In other words, from top to bottom, last one wins. Or if you're not managing the archive, or if you're managing the archives, the left pane will load in the order that you actually place them. So you can, so in the old version of Mod Organizer, you can have mods in the left side. I know this sounds confusing, but it works. You can have mods on the left side that loads somewhat differently than mods on the right side, so that you can really very, very granularly control how the game loads all its resources. And that's why mod authors are creating versions that have BSAs or loose files, so that you use the loose file versions in Nexus Mod Manager or in the SE versions, and you use the BSA versions for, you know, the older mod organizer. And this is where we start at the very simple end of Xbox, where all you can do is drag and drop files on the left side of it in your load order and hope you got it right.
Yeah.
All the way up to Mod Organizer, where you can individually you can take individual little files from one mod and move them to another mod in a very, very, very low level way. And I'm really, really hoping, that's what I'm sort of hearing some of this from Ray about Vortex. I'm really hoping that Vortex will add some of that functionality. I hope it doesn't go down the route of trying to do too many things too easily, which hides the power from people who really want it. You know, that's I think, you know.
And yeah, I guess the
BA2, Michelle was just saying BA2 is the file format in Fallout 4, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's kind of interesting. So the other thing that, you know, the Vortex team has to deal with is that, and it's been the case with the Nexus Mod Manager as well. They have a huge list of games that they support.
Yeah, that's true.
And, you know, they don't all work the same way. And so they have to be so flexible. And so that inevitably takes away some of the granular power.
That's true. You know, that's extremely perceptive. That being such a sort of Bethesda fanboy to an almost ridiculous extent, that really never occurred to me. Yeah. Oh, there's other games out there. Wait a minute. People play stuff by other publishers.
Why would that happen?
What a crazy idea! Yeah,
that's insane.
Yeah. No, that's 100% right. And I've never even tried to actually load mods into, like, The Witcher, for instance, which has you know, a mod page on the Nexus and stuff. So yeah, that makes a great deal of sense. Now that we've sort of talked about Vortex, again, Ray, what are some of your go-to mods for PC?
Well, so I kind of went the opposite direction. I went to all of the, you know, the frame rate enhancing killers. I load every 4K texture I can find, and it's one of the benefits of having a very powerful PC. The one I just built, is running all this this fine stuff on my 4K monitor like it's
nice.
Not even breathing heavy.
Yeah.
If you got it, flaunt it.
And it's
running a 1080.
Yeah. And the card itself has the RGB lighting on it, and so I have it set up to so that the color is indicating the temperature of the card. And even in a big battle on Fallout 4, I haven't got it past yellow.
Wow.
And it's it's mostly kind of greenish yellow. So I've been loving that.
Nice. Must say, yeah, I put a 1070 in mine because I don't have a 4K monitor, and it's having 8 gigs of graphic memory is very nice, very, very nice indeed.
Well, and so the really the mod that kicked me in the butt and got me modding Fallout 4 was Start Me Up.
Yeah,
I've had so much fun with that mod.
It's so much better than the precursors.
Oh, absolutely. So it's an alternate start mod.
That's what I was going to ask.
And it, instead of the other ones where you were an institute synth or some basic just outside the vault kind of a situation. This one, you can control the level that you start at. You can control how much stuff you start with. It allows you to pick perks like New Vegas. It lets you select where you're at on the map and what you're doing, what kind of a character you are, and so it'll give you equipment based on if you're a raider or a doctor or the first one that I used it on was my NCR Ranger, and it is just so much fun. To be able, it's something that really got me hooked on Skyrim, because I had never played it, but we were getting, the Skyrim Roundtable was getting ready to fire up with the launch of SE. They had a Steam sale on the old legacy version that gave you the upgrade to SE when that launched. So Andrew kept poking me and come on, do it. So finally I caved and did it because I had never played Skyrim before that.
Wow.
And
that's right. Yeah.
So now between the two, Legacy and SE, I'm rapidly catching up to my hours in Fallout 4.
Awesome. Yeah.
And a big part of it is just how much more flexibility you have creating characters in Skyrim because of the flexibility in the storyline.
Yes.
Where in Fallout 4, everything revolved around the central storyline and your search for your son Sean. And now with the Start Me Up mod, that's completely gone.
Yeah,
if you want it to be.
It really is excellent. I was playing with it the other day, and it even has almost sort of a New Vegas little section in it where you pick what do they call them?
Yeah, those are the perks where you can small frame or kamikaze.
Exactly. Yeah. That's sort of a little bit of stolen from New Vegas.
Yeah, and that gives it gives you a boost in one part, but it gives you a hindrance in the other.
Right.
And so it's nice and balanced that way.
Yeah.
But it's it does a really, really good job of taking Sean out of the dialogue. Yep. In all your encounters.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Yeah. That's interesting.
Wow. Someone port that, please.
Is it,
I need that.
It's definitely not available on Xbox.
Andrew looked and he couldn't find it.
Okay.
Yeah, I just looked it up now too, and
Evidently it had been on there and it got taken down.
It probably requires SKSE to really run right.
Yeah.
So it probably won't ever be on Xbox then.
Yeah, but it does a really good job.
Why don't you, Victor?
Sorry.
Even the interview with Piper, I could never do that, because if you want to not be, the father of or mother of Sean looking for him, you can't do that, because you could never get through that dialogue, without telling her that you lost your son.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that is so frustrating.
And now with this mod, you can get right through it. Never mentions it.
Yep, it's a little bit like using Unbound in Skyrim, which can take the Dragonborn completely out of the picture. But actually, it's better. It really does do a fabulous job of taking all that stuff out of the game. And I mean, for me anyway, that was the most frustrating thing about Fallout 4, because I play these games because I love the sandbox, and I don't want to feel like I'm on rails ever anywhere.
Right. Yep.
And unfortunately, though Fallout 4 has many of the good sandbox elements that Bethesda games have, it had that one thing with the voice protagonist and the storyline that you just could not get away from. So yeah, Start Me Up is awesome.
Which in and of itself, I mean, the story, the voice protagonist, that kind of stuff can be fun, but then you lose the whole role-playing aspect that, I think really attracts a lot of us to these games.
Yeah.
They pigeonhole it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like the first time I played through it, I was like, oh yeah, this is a really great story. And then when I got done with it, I was like, oh, Skyrim SE's coming out. I have stories to tell. Yeah.
No, and you can sort of, if you really work at it, you can role play around it. I mean, my kids and I did a sort of a family, of characters that we role played had been visiting, Nick and Nora, and managed to worm their way into the vault, etc. Blah 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 blah. And that worked out, but it was a lot of work, and it was ultimately kind of unsatisfying. And so yeah, so Start Me Up is, I'd say that's like top of the list for PC modders.
Yeah.
And
because I think there's 2 available on Xbox, 2 alternate start mods, and both of them I'm just kind of like, eh.
Yeah.
It's like I'm like, it just doesn't quite do it.
Yeah. So any other must-haves, Ray, that you feel? I mean, besides the 4K textures and your awesome machine.
I mean, I like the enhanced blood textures, darker nights.
Oh, okay.
DefUI? Do you use DefUI?
I used it briefly when I had loaded up. What is that? Horizon.
Mm-hmm.
But
I'm going to talk about that in a minute.
Yeah, I realized with the roundtable coming up that I wasn't going to be able to have that mod running, so I didn't load it up when I built this roundtable loadout.
Okay.
So a couple of them that I'm looking forward to enjoying is You Talk Too Much.
Mm-hmm.
Which cuts down on the idle blather in the settlements, because I downloaded Sim Settlements, so I want to try that out and see how that works. So I'm inevitably going to end up having to do some settlements. So I didn't want people yammering on.
Yeah.
One that I'm looking forward to trying out, it's always driven me absolutely crazy, is that you can't take a power armor frame off of a dead body. And so there's C. Dante made one called Restore Power Frames. And it's supposed to let you remove a power armor frame from a dead body. So we'll see how that works out.
Cool. Okay. That actually sounds pretty nice.
And then so critical hits outside of VATS. I'm not a VATSer, and so I've always missed out on critical hits. And so this is I've been using it for a little bit, and it works out pretty good.
That's the name of the mod, critical hits outside of VATS.
Yep.
Okay, I'm just taking notes on some of these.
Does it randomize it like in the older games, or?
Yeah, it definitely doesn't happen every time. It's and I haven't looked to see if it waits until your critical meter is filled or not. So I'll have to pay attention to that.
Wonder how that works with overdrive.
And I don't know. Yeah, that's I finally had to build a character just to do drugs. Because I've just it's never been part of my gameplay.
All of my characters use kids like crazy. Even if it's not like the character I'm gonna play for the round table, it's not built in like she's doing drugs. It's just Jet, supposed to be like his focus, but like I never play without chems.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know what half of them do.
Yeah, my sniper's addicted to orange mentats.
Yeah.
So yeah,
it's just all stuff I sell for good caps.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Although I tried with the Nuka World Xbox character, I tried a little bit more crafting, especially orange and grape mentats. But I that's one of those things I just can't assimilate into my old.
If you ever get a chance, I tried this character out for a little while. There was a Fudge Muppet build for the Pyromaniac, and it focuses on using Jet in melee. And I tried that, and I was like, oh my god, you can do stupid stuff with Jet. like it's really you can make crazy jumps and everything, and I was like, wow, this actually really works. So that's why I want to try it with this roundtable character, only she's a rifle user that uses Jet and to make headshots outside of bats.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So
Michelle says he hasn't used chems in over 2,500 hours of play.
Yeah, wow. That's very impressive, Michelle. Good for you.
Yeah.
That is quite something.
I've used a little bit, but I certainly don't use them much.
Yeah, early on I would use buff out because I felt like I had to collect everything that was laying around.
I've been there,
constantly encumbered.
Yeah, Domino doesn't even do crafting, and I'm still picking up stuff and hoarding it. I'm like, I finally got myself to quit over the weekend during one of my Twitch streams. I was just like, why am I picking this stuff up? I don't need it for anything at all. Like, I'm just going to quit picking it up. It's a habit to grab every bit of duct tape and Wonder Glue, you see.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of glue, that's one of the little mods, and there's always little tiny mods that are cool, and I like to sort of highlight occasionally. There's a PC mod, and I don't think it's available for Xbox, called Craftable Animal Glue. Now, okay,
sorry.
Well, you got to understand what I do for a living. I use animal glue a lot. All right, so it's just something in my own business, in the world that I live in, with wood, leather, and glue. I use hide glue, and so the concept of being able to make that in a game was very cool. So I would recommend people look that up, because as everybody knows who's played Fallout 4 for any amount of time at all, or even any of the Fallout games, but Fallout 4 in particular, yes, glue is hard to come by, and I think sometimes unnaturally hard to come by. So yeah, you want duct tape and all that, but so Craftable Animal Glue is a very cool little mod. So, and just while I'm blathering on about little mods, Andrew asked a while ago. I don't know. Andrew, you're still stuck in traffic there. Andrew asked about bobblehead specific mods. I only have one. I don't know if anybody else has, but I've been using Bobble Girls for a long time. And I love it. So that's
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Victor.
No, that's all.
Finish your thought.
There are several what's the word, textures you can use for Bobble Girls, but I like them a lot better than the Vault Boy bobbleheads. So I use the redhead Bobble Girl mod.
I'm wondering if I need to look those up again. They were on Xbox for a while, but then when you guys mentioned that this next one was coming up, I went looking for bobblehead mods on the Xbox, and those were gone.
Really? Huh.
Yeah, I haven't checked again lately, but
well, there's a mod that I downloaded when I downloaded Horizon that is probably more what Andrew's looking for. I'm guessing he's looking for one that tells you where they all are.
Uh-huh.
And now I can't remember.
Him a link to one of those.
I think it's like
Sheldon said something about Bobblehead's Adventure. Is that?
I can't remember now. It's on my other computer.
Yeah, there's one called. I'm assuming it would probably be on PC as well. There's one called the Collector Bobbleheads.
Okay.
I'm looking at it right now. I actually have it installed. It was really about one of the only ones I was looking for. I may end up modding this game just to try this one out. But what it does is it gives you, it will load up a quest. Like even if you start a new game, it loads up the quest to find the Vault-Tec regional headquarters. And that's all it does to start with. You have to go to the Vault-Tec regional headquarters in order to start the quest. And it says it adds a couple of quests, which guides the player to all the bobblehead locations. But it also adds extra lore around Vault-Tec and the bobbleheads and gives in-game logic as to how you can find the location.
Cool.
It says it's for those who want to collect them all, but don't want to feel like they have to cheat and look up the locations.
It's sort of like one of the better sort of Baron Zaya Stone finding mods. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the one that I'm thinking about is it also does the magazines, because that's where I saw it. I saw it on a mod list for one of the guys that was doing a playthrough on Horizon.
Mm-hmm.
And he uses it because you have to have magazines are so much more important in Horizon.
Absolutely.
Oh, here it is. Fall complete. Automatically track quests, locations, magazines, and bobbleheads.
And what's the mod? I'm making notes. So what's it called again?
Fall complete.
Fall complete.
Yeah.
I'm going to try to get links for all of these and post them somewhere.
And this
I don't
is
think I picked up every one of the ones we've talked about, but I've got a lot of them.
Kefka 95.
Okay. So as long as you brought up Horizon, because I do want to talk about Horizon, but I want to ask you, why did you decide not to use it for the bobblehead run?
Mostly because it's, there's so much involved with it that I didn't want to be distracted. I'll have a vacation eventually, and I'll spend some time playing it. Actually, just to play that mod, to really get a sense of everything that it has to offer, because it's just so incredibly rich.
It's huge. Yeah. Because I am intending to use that's sort of the what got me sort of saying, okay, yeah, I will come and participate in this, because I like Michael, I really haven't played Fallout 4 since the Nuka World Roundtable, which is closing in on a year now. But Horizon makes me want to do it, and it is a huge overhaul. So just for anybody who's interested, who has a PC, who wants to try something different, Horizon essentially reworks the game almost from bottom to top. And so for instance, it changes the way injuries and medicine work. You can use stim packs during combat, but they won't heal damaged limbs. You have to use trauma kits for that.
Well, they don't even replace your health.
They don't replace your health. Your health, you can't level up or sleep to replace health. It changes the leveling system completely. So as the mod author says, basically level 30 in Horizon is like level 60 in the vanilla game.
I played it for 2 days and got to level 3.
Yeah, but
wow.
But if you remember, what he does is when you start the game, you start with 29 instead of 21 choices.
Right. Yep.
And so you level much slower. But then he's taken the Vans perk, which you guys were talking about on episode 88 yesterday, which I didn't realize that they had added something to it in Nuka World.
Yeah.
But he's replaced the Vans perk with, when you reach level 5, I believe, you can take the Vans perk and it will grant you 5 perk points. And that happens every 10 more levels, I think, as it goes along. The other thing that Horizon does, not only slows down your leveling, but it level locks certain perks that are not level locked in the vanilla game. So even if you have 6 charisma, and I can't remember exactly off the top of my head, but whatever the third charisma perk is level locked at level 5.
Yeah.
So you can't take it. Whereas in the vanilla game, so Horizon just, it completely, it changes NPC behaviors. It changes the way NPCs level with the character. It adds a commerce system that the game didn't have before. It adds a really cool fast travel option with caravans. So now you can travel on the caravans. It adds cargo robots that you can load up with stuff and send off to a settlement somewhere. It's an amazing and complex mod that's been it's similar in complexity and the way it integrates with the game, although it's to Legend of the Dragonborn in Skyrim. It doesn't, the two mods don't do the same thing, but they are similar in the way they sort of get their little fingers in and just sort of change the entire game. So and it's also extremely well supported. The mod author is on top of everything, very much like Sim Settlements, which I think most of us have used because it's available on Xbox as well. A great, wonderful, complex, interesting mod by an author who's really engaged with the community and stays on top of things.
Yeah, so. And actually, there's a great interview with him. Chris Takahashi interviewed King Goth.
Oh, really? Wow, cool.
Yeah. And he and Noctum do a interview show, and that was really interesting.
I would love to hear that. Yeah, I'll look it up. I mean, yeah, there are mod authors like that. I mean, these people who are so dedicated. Yeah, King Gath is one of them. And on the Skyrim side, Enai Shion is another one who's done so many of these amazing mods like Ordinator and Apocalypse and stuff. And it's such an amazing community of people. that they deserve a huge standing ovation no matter what. All of these people.
I almost can't play without Ordinator anymore.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
it's so good.
Stuff's awesome.
Yeah. And I mean, not to get away from Fallout, but I mean the sort of the standard mod or standard perk overhaul before Ordinator was perma. I mean, and not to take away from the complexity and interest of Percus Maximus, but it was kind of bloated and huge and hard to implement, and you had to run patchers and everything else. And Ordinator comes along, and it's just slick and beautifully made, and it just integrates into the game. You can throw it in there in the middle of your game. You can take it out in the middle of your game, and it's written in such a way that it's elegant, and that's what makes a great mod. That's what makes a great program. Doesn't matter, whether it's a mod or a database. It's elegant and seamless. So
and it's really slick how he does that too, because I tried it just to see how it works, and it just resets all your perks, and you just go in and reselect them.
Yep.
And just simple as
I was so impressed with that when that was just like said, this guy really knows what he's doing. He's just like, yeah.
Well, didn't try to get all fancy and try to guess it, what you would have picked or anything, based on what the vanilla one you picked.
Yeah.
Just very elegant.
Yeah, and he's another one who's very engaged. He has a Patreon stream, and he keeps up on things and keeps things updated, almost too much sometimes.
Yeah, he was doing Andromeda like every day.
Yeah. No, I'm using Andromeda in my latest Skyrim build, and it's actually pretty cool. It's a big upgrade over the one he did before, which was called Aurora. Anyway, that's Skyrim. We're not talking about Skyrim. So how we doing, Michael? How we doing?
Oh, good. Actually, I don't know what the time is. What time? I can't see my garage band.
8:33.
So it's gonna be probably a little over an hour.
Yeah. Well, what else? I mean, I think we've covered a lot. I don't want to like overload people with too much stuff. I mean, I use things like wearable backpacks. That's a mod. I think that's also available on Xbox. I like having extra carrying capacity. I always use the cleanup mods, the spring cleaning or whatever. We've already talked about that.
There's a few backpack mods on Xbox. There's a new one that just came out that's really good. Backpacks of the Commonwealth.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yep. That's on PC too. Let me.
Yeah. The way I understand it is the way the mod author set it up is so that like your backpacks, like you don't get backpacks like with the Creation Club, like that backpack where you just get it and you can do whatever you want with it, craft it and stuff. He has different varieties of backpacks, and I think they all use in-game assets.
Okay.
If I'm not mistaken. So it's like he set it up like almost like it's like a progression with your gear.
Mm-hmm.
And so like you don't really upgrade your backpack so much as you find a new backpack and upgrade to that backpack. If that makes any sense.
Okay. Yeah, no, that does. Does that mean it's available on PS4 as well?
It might be. I'm not sure because the way I understood it I think it uses mostly. I read the description like over the weekend, so I can't completely remember it now. But I think he said that it uses all in-game assets.
Okay.
Nice. Like I know one of the backpacks is just a mailman bag, from like the postman outfit.
Okay.
And so it looks really good and looks like it integrates into the game really well. Like you just you find a new backpack, and you just kind of move on.
Nice. Okay. That's a good suggestion. I also like to add, because one of the things I love most about Fallout 4 is the settlement building stuff. So, because that's just, I could spend most of my time just doing that. So I always load up extra assets for that. So, you guys have any favorites of those? I use OC Decorator. I use one that's no longer available, sadly, because somehow the mod author got himself in Dutch with the Nexus and taken down. But it's called Snap and Build. It's been around for a while, but you can't find it anymore. So if you have it, don't delete it. Actually, I think it might be available on some sort of.
I wonder if it's still on Xbox. That was on Xbox.
I think he took it down from everywhere, but I may be wrong on that.
He took it down.
He took it down off the Nexus. I know that it's no longer available there, but it might be available elsewhere. I think it's available on his website, perhaps. But yeah, OC Decorator and Snap and Build and Place Everywhere is very handy. That I'm almost certain is not available on Xbox. I think that requires SKSE. It's a little bit like, if anybody's familiar with Jackson Z's mods for Skyrim, it's a little bit like that. You can pick something up and move it and place it somewhere. Any of the in-game stuff that's movable, you can move around, which is nice for people with OCD like me. What are the other? I'm sort of scanning through my mod list here to see if there's anything. There was a mod author, DD Productions, who he was. Well, let's not get too far into it, but if you if you look him up on YouTube and he hasn't taken all of his videos down, he's a nutball of the first degree. But he had some awesome mods, and I think there's still a couple of them left around. Stackable concrete blocks is one of them. It's actually a great way to build walls around your settlement, especially if you have excess concrete. If you have one of the scrapping mods,
yeah, you have a lot of concrete.
You have a lot of concrete, and so you can build these big concrete blocks around your settlement. It's a lot of fun to have. So I have that loaded too.
Well, and I'm sure Andrew's probably yelling at me from his car because I've yet to mention the most important mod available on PC and Xbox, which is the Fallout feed flag.
You are 100% correct, Ray. That is the most important mod. Also,
installed.
Shout out to Kenneth. Hello, Kenneth. So I'm just looking at the YouTube chat there. Yes, absolutely. Everybody must get the flag. I apologize. We should have mentioned that right at the very beginning.
We got distracted by the unofficial patch mod.
That's it. Yeah.
That's stupid unofficial patch. Screw that shit. Yeah, we want the flag. I use Campsite too, by the way, and that's one of Fading Signals mods. That and basement something or other.
He's an excellent mod author.
He is, yeah. He did several. He is responsible for a now famous. If you've listened to the D&D Skyrim 10 AD, he's responsible for Simply Bigger Trees. So
I've got that downloaded. I haven't had a chance to listen to it yet.
It's an old inside joke, but anyway, that was one of his first mods. So the unusually large trees in Falkreath are so
I found them useful.
Yes, yeah. But yeah, Basement Living is another one of his mods. Excellent mod.
Yeah, he did the canine harness.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
For dog meat, and it's really, really good.
Yeah.
I'm not using it on the current character because she does no crafting whatsoever, and you have to have armor perks to craft the harness for dog meat in his mod. So I'm not using it, but I have tried it in the past, and it's gorgeous. It works really well. He did the backpack for the Creation Club too.
Oh, really? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool. Okay, I don't know what else. There's one last thing similar to a couple of the Skyrim mods. There are some map mods. Did any of you guys use the map with better roads and a little more 3D look in the Pip-Boy?
I haven't on Xbox because the only ones that I found, the descriptions all say that they either get buggy or are buggy or might have problems, might have issues. So I've just never bothered.
Okay. Yeah. Ray, any thoughts on that for PC?
No, I use the map on Skyrim, but yeah. I've never tweaked the map. Okay. After a while, you know where everything is.
Yeah, that's true. I have one loaded called "Improved Map with Visible Roads." I don't know if it's going to turn out well or not. And another one that I actually picked up from Apeless John's Horizon build is the Red Wave. Anybody use that?
No.
Yeah, I haven't heard of that one.
Okay, Red Wave is a boat that you can use to move. It's like the caravan thing from Horizon, only it may or may not be available on Xbox, but it's a boat that has several destinations in the Commonwealth. So you can use it as a fast travel. It is good. Mm-hmm. All right, cool. So that seems to be pretty stable. He used it on a lot of his on his long Horizon playthrough. And it's a nice sort of, it's like carriages, that's one of the things that I think Fallout 4 lacked completely from the beginning and should have had, was a better way of moving around in a realistic fashion, so that people who like to role play don't have to fast travel in order to, actually have time in their day to actually live and do responsible things like raise children and cook dinners and stuff, instead of walking from one side of Fallout the Commonwealth to the other. So anything that helps.
He's got two versions on here.
Yeah, there's a newer one and an older one. I think the new one is Reloaded is the new one that's
I've downloaded it, but I haven't gotten to it yet. The Dauntless Submarine, and that's the one where if you wear power armor, it has a missile launch tube that'll launch you from the submarine to different places around the Commonwealth.
Oh, that's awesome! I love it.
And so you climb in this tube and close the door, and then it goes black, and then the screen comes back on, and you're falling from the sky, and land in this spot.
Well, that makes total sense. If you can jump out of the Pridwin and survive in a power armor, then you can certainly be launched from a submarine. Yes, absolutely. Yep. Actually, and come to think of it, there is another mod that seems to have several modules called Drivables of the Commonwealth. And it includes a module for boats, a module for motorcycles, and several others that I can't remember. And there's one more called something APC, which adds an APC to. If anybody knows what an APC is, Armored Personnel Carrier, it adds an APC to the game that you can get in as a small player home and move to various predetermined destinations. So there you go. I think we've probably talked about enough mods.
I've got two I want to recommend real quick.
Okay, cool. Yeah, absolutely.
Just small ones.
Yep.
They were a couple that I had actually found from a YouTuber, but they have actually proven to be extremely convenient. One is Quick Trade.
Mm-hmm.
And it just, you can walk up to anybody that you can normally trade inventory with. And instead of having to go through the first bit of dialogue, you can just hit X. Well, X on the Xbox. And it just goes straight into the inventory. And that's really nice to not have to talk to just be able to skip that first line of dialogue and, oh yeah, let's
crazy
see what you
Myrna.
have. Yeah. I ain't a synth. And the other one is portable junk recycler, which is a small item that you can craft and carry around, and it will actually recycle junk.
Yeah, I've got that one loaded. I haven't used it yet, but
yeah, you can scrap it right from your inventory, because a lot of times, like the stuff you can get scrapping it will weigh less than what the item itself is. So it can be really handy as well. And it's something I would highly recommend.
Cool. Well,
and as far as the mod world goes, so I talked to, we did the interview over the weekend with Jonah Loeb.
Mm-hmm. I haven't listened to that yet. Was it good?
And yeah, he's definitely a very engaging guy. And I asked him about, what his opinion was of the modding community, and he just gushed about how how awesome they are and how much creativity comes out of there, and how exciting it is, even as somebody that created some of this stuff, to see what other people have been able to do with putting on piling on top of it.
Good for him. That's awesome.
And so yeah, he was definitely very very high on the community.
Well, I'm looking forward to listening to that.
Yeah, I need to check that out too.
Yeah.
I don't think it's released yet. Because we just did it as a recording.
Yeah, not yet.
Cool.
Because we wanted to give him right of first edit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
No, Kate, my daughter, was like, "Oh, really? You're talking to him?" Yeah, she was very excited about that. So I'll point her to it whenever it comes out.
It was kind of weird though, because he had his webcam on, but I don't know if it was because none of us had our cameras enabled or what, but he had it tilted up, and so the whole time all you could see was just his hairline.
Oh,
and the pictures on his wall behind him.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's probably it was probably in the top of his laptop or something.
Yeah, so just tilt it back. Yeah,
tilted back. Yeah,
it was pretty hilarious.
Well, release it as audio then, okay?
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's the.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Well, cool.
Huh? Well, I guess that's it. So.
Yeah, I'm all modded out. I don't want to overload people.
Hopefully this will get everybody ready for the roundtable with the bobbleheads. Yeah.
And I would encourage anybody who hears this to please ask questions, post on the on Facebook. Feel free to ask us anything, and we'll try to answer any questions we can.
Yeah. And
absolutely.
If something comes up during the roundtable, obviously just drop a line then, falloutfeed@gmail.com. And trying to think what else. Is there anything else? I don't know. How does Andrew end this show?
See you in the wasteland.
See you in the wasteland. It's been like 2 years since I did a Fallout feed, so forgive me.
Yeah, he ends it with one of his awesome bumpers. That's what he does. But yes,
did he steal this one like he stole the other one?
Yeah, see you in the wasteland.
Like he stole Happy Skyrim.
yeah, right. Yeah.
We'll pretend I started See You in the Wasteland, since nobody will know, since those episodes are lost, and we'll pretend he stole it from me. So
cool.
There you go.
I had that copyrighted. Andrew stole it. All right. Thanks for listening, everybody. Thanks, Michelle, for joining in the chat, and Kenneth.
Absolutely.
and Andrew while he was in there, and I'm going to stop the broadcast and not accidentally close anything out.
Cool.
Thank you for downloading this episode of the Fallout Feed Roundtable. If you are interested in doing a play-along character with us, the show can be contacted by emailing falloutroundtable@gmail.com. For the roundtable schedule, our Amazon link, and all other show information, please head on over to asapodcasting.com, where you will find the Fallout Feed, the Askyrimaddictpodcast Podcast, our YouTube channel, the Chatterbox, as well as other content. Once again, thank you for downloading, and we'll see you in the wasteland.
All right.
And we're off. That was cool. Good. I think we
Yeah,
brought up a lot of good stuff. Thank you, Todd.